Hey guys, sup, Ryu here for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Council. Now you're probably wondering, well, Ryu, why in the world is it titled that whole, this is how Pendulum works and everything, and you're showing us a duel? Because it's going to give you the quickest way. Now, since I'm on Windows 8, this runs a little bit slower than your typical, Yu-Gi-Oh! Council duel video. So I can actually break things down without having to stop every 5 seconds. I'm going to go on my side real quick. And we're going to break down here. This is a Pendulum Monster, okay? They technically half spell, half monster, and they're half green, half monster card zone. The ruby and sapphire color here, that's what I'm going to refer to them as in this video. And that was me just like my lips. Basically, you're going to see one of these played. So Yugi here, Yugi 514, props to him, is going to be playing the Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon. Now, you see how it's coming up 4/4? That's its scale, which means the scale allows you to basically have special summon access. We're going to get to that in a few minutes. So why was he able to play this? Well, A, it's a pendulum card, so it goes in one of the two pendulum zones. Primarily, always the red one first. I don't know why, that's just how Dead Pro does it. Also keep in mind that they are spell cards, so you can MST them and they do go away. They don't hit the graveyard. When a pendulum card is sent to the graveyard, and you're actually going to see this in a minute, when it uses its effect at the end phase, it goes on top of the extra deck. Now, he gets a search off it because of it. Now, I'm playing Spellbook, so I'm going to basically do the same kind of setup here, but he's going to compulse the Justice of Prophecy, and there'll be a deck profile on this. See, I'm doing the same thing. This is really good, like, to have it this kind of slow to go into this discussion. So, let's break down what he's about to do here real quick. Okay, why was he able to summon Odd Eyes Dragon? Let me actually let that finish real quick. Why was he able to summon Odd Eyes Dragon? Okay, he played Magician of Chromancy, which has an 8 scale, and he played Magician of Astromancy, I can't pronounce it right now, that has a 1 scale. So that means any levels in his hand, per example, in my hand, I could summon Effect Veiler, Justice, Odd Eyes Dragon, and Magician of Chromancy if I had those two, like, on my two sides of the field. I could special all 4 of those monsters as one giant special summon. And that is counted as a pendulum summon. Now, you can only pendulum summon once per turn, so just keep that in mind. As broke as it seems. And it is kind of busted, I won't lie. Now, to the reason why Odd Eyes is able to come in and out of positions between the Pendulum Zone and the Extra Deck Zone. When a Pendulum Monster is technically destroyed, or sent to what would have been the graveyard, they go on top of the Extra Deck. As I said, now when they're on top of the Extra Deck and you have the Pendulum set up like this, scales 2 to 7, scales 1 and 8 allows access to 2 to 7. 0 and 9 would allow access to 1, 8, and allow us to abuse it in Blue Eyes. For those who are wondering, and yes, Red Eyes is kind of broken with this, and so is Dark Magician. They actually get a boost. Gadgets get a boost, but it's only going to be for the ones that you have in your hand at that point in time per turn kind of thing. That's something to keep in mind, so you can lose a lot of hand advantage off this. But they make up for it in power. Now, Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, even though it was on top of the extra deck, it's able to come back because of the 2 pendulum cards being in the pendulum zone. So basically, if I have a stack of 5 pendulum monsters here on top of my extra deck already used, and I have the 2 scales, I can special all 5. I'm about to burp, I'm sorry. Sorry, your disease. I can special all 5 from my extra deck onto my board. Then I can synchro them out, and if I synchro them out, they go back to the top of the extra deck. And you can see here I still have access into my extra deck that I typically would have with this deck. So let's continue here. So when they're synchroed out, tributed, I believe tributed or destroyed. If they're Exceed, they're not going to basically if they hit the graveyard, which you're going to see here, I'm going to just chain that. And he's gonna the Torrential's gonna resolve, and it's gonna go back there, and I'm just gonna get massive setup into his face, not sound that way. No disrespect to him. But as you can see here, I'm just doing massive setup, and no, you can't do it on your opponent's turn. Someone's gonna be wondering. You can only do this on your turn. So in a way, yes, they are really powerful stuff. And you see now I have. Let's just break this down here. I have 2 here. So as long as I survive this turn, and here he's Here he's Pendulum summoning Dark Refer and Odd Eyes because he had Dark Refer in hands and he had the Odd Eyes. He could have also dropped the Magician, but chose not to. So let's break this down real quick to the amount of shenanigans you can do. Now in my hand here I have the scale 8, the scale 1. So I'm going to go ahead and activate them. It doesn't matter like which one you activate first. That's irrelevant. What matters is the scales in between. So it's going to look like they're each coming out one at a time. But that's just because my monster's effect, and I'm going to now Pendulum Summon. This was a normal summon. This is a Pendulum Summon. So I was able to drop 5 monsters in one turn while still keeping a 3-card hand advantage over my opponent, per example. And I can easily go into a Big Eye, jack his Odd Eyes, and go into a Drago Sack from there if I so chose to, and go into, let's see, we can go into Armor Kappa, Gaichi, Daigoso Phoenix, Shining Elf. So what it makes up, what it does is from taking from your hand, it makes up in Swarm and OTK status, and a lot of decks are going to get a really high power boost, but that's going to be the game right there. If you have any more questions regarding Pendulum Summons, you just let me know. But in the final things I have to mention, if your opponent has 2 of these, you do not get a window of time to say I activate MST. Like, okay, if they're saying I Pendulum Summon this and that, you can't MST at that point. The Pendulum Summon has to resolve like a typical summon. You can't chain MST on top of it. You have to do MST before or after. That's something to keep in mind. Cards like Full House get a big freaking benefit from your opponent using Pendulum Summons. There's about 20 other things, and we could be here for 20 years, but I think I want to keep this a simple tutorial. Last thing, if you synchro Odd Eyes and Effect Veiler together to make like a Scrap Dragon, and then you pop the other Odd Eyes, both of them go back, and then next turn you could bring them back constantly. These things will be considered a staple, and they come out of the Duelist Advent. So, hope you guys enjoyed this little tutorial video. If you have any more questions or you want to see more, just let me know in the comments below. And if you like what you saw, leave a like and a comment. I will catch you next video. I'm Ryu for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Council. Peace.